you, Markis and JC Mansfield, and your adventures out there, actually in a van during this cold snap, just rescuing people that were freezing on the streets of Bellingham.
When we were doing the car outreach, we didn't know that that's what we were doing. We just knew that we wanted to take people something to keep them warm. And so people were like, oh, I can do that. I can bring my car in and I can help with this. And then we had people come in, I don't have a car, but I'd like to help. So then we had car.
And it spurred a movement within our volunteer base, which was already really quite big and had just arrived at that size. And so that was really beautiful. Everything's been stacking up like this for Homes Now and its associates.
Everyone
and so we're all starting to so that interconnection, when a need arose, all this energy went and brought it up to like a visual peak. But it's money,
members.
it's resources, it's energy, and we're all at the end of it. We're broke, and we're but that need was met, and it was beautiful. And then that's when we were what, maybe 4 days into it when I called Ron.
Pastor Ron.
I was MB PM me, said you should talk to this pastor. He's interested in maybe sheltering, and I'm like, bingo, because this is really expensive stuff.
That's that nice church out in Northwest in Smith Road, right?
Yeah,
it's
so
out there.
He worked with his congregation and his people, and they had to work around some of the insurance policy stuff.
And they got us into their facility, and it worked really well.
On it, and then all of our volunteers, he said, as long as you can staff half of it with your people, then we can do it.
It worked really well.
And so we looked it up, and when we saw that the mission was going to do an overnight shelter for women with the Fountain Community Church, and that they were providing that much space and that much of an expansion for their services, then we knew where to take people or where to tell people to go. So we were like, we need to let people know, because they don't know how to get this information. And so we were seeing them on a daily basis while we were handing out hot water bottles. We made flyers. We went to the office and we made a bunch of different flyers. We took them over to the WTA so people at the WTA would know, because everybody uses the bus station, and we let them know these are the shelters that are open.
A lot of it was just informing the people on the street what was available,
the public
and
announcement.
kind of getting them to have the confidence in you guys with you, right?
Oh, in a lot of ways, sure.
We had the walkie system going, and we had about 4 drivers that were volunteering.
Group chats on the Facebook Messenger.
And we had co-pilots, so there were people that made sure we rotate out. So we were always driving with another person, and then we had it full.
And as a driver, bing, that noise right there, that was like bing, 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 because we had several different chat groups.
Yeah, so
one of them was like the people that had the donors and the hotel donors and all the people who were concerned about that in this big chat, and I'm in there, bing,
I know,
bing,
I'm
and we talk about it, and
and
there's ones that are more politically activated. So at the political one, bing, bing every now and then, and there was the one for drivers. And so if you were a driver or you're a van driver, then you were in that, and I was in that. And if you were a van driver, we just had that.
And then we would do real-time live streaming.
Those were all these separate chats. There was no reason for everybody to be in them.
It was digging me out of there. I couldn't do it.
Oh God.
But let me ask you about Homes Now.
We're still interviewing.
And all their donations.
She needs a shower.
They
She needs a shower?
this.
She's thinking about it. But
Okay, tell her to come over and sign up. Will you, John?
We'd be glad to have you take a shower here, honey. Okay, well, that's what we're here for.
Homes Now ended up paying how much for hotels and motels?
I'm sorry?
Homes Now first started out where they knew that they were dealing with severe weather, that they couldn't stay on the site any longer. So people that were supporting Winter Haven that were donors were wanting to put them in hotels. So they ended up over on a Lakeway Hotel and getting all of the people. So Jim immediately, when Jim was with us that night when we came into town and we were in your car, the only car that was on the road, Jim was like, why isn't the city doing anything?
I was the bus for the Winter Haven bug out.
And so we were all freaking out because we're like, this is extreme weather and there's people out here unsheltered. So what do we do? They couldn't even tolerate the cold at where the campsite was to provide winter shelter.
I would like to note at this point that we were out there doing this outreach where we were actually giving first aid, finding people with like bare skin out there in these elements in a blizzard. And so we're like blanketing them, we're clothing them, we're jacketing them, hand warming, and trying to get them to shelters. All that was going on. But then at that same time, and we were getting some support from Winter Haven through this. They were going to front the money as necessary so people could pay through their cards, and then Homes Now would refund that money through the donations that were
Right,
coming
he
into
was-
it, and it worked fine.
Yeah.
But
There were enough donors on board to do that, and it worked out really well, fortunately.
What was the
But
amount?
but then at that point, so Jim had been woven into this, really just this first aid triage,
Right.
right? At that point, he was woven in, and then he's like, I need to bug out Winter Haven, and it's like, stop everything I'm doing. And the first thing I just want to say this. The first thing I thought was like, God damn it, Jim, I'm really busy trying to render aid to people who are really, really desperate, right? And you want me to? Okay, I'll stop and go take care of Winter Haven. Guess what? The fact that it was a community of people who knew each other, who'd already talked about this together. When I arrived to bug them out, I was 3 trips.
Yeah, I think it was about 3.
Done. Now I'm out. That's what you get with community. These people were together. It was with military precision.
They were already
They were
together.
bugged
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
They
did
had
not-
packs
What
on
do you
their
mean
backs
by
and out the
bugged
door.
out? I lost you.
Oh, that's old. You bug out when it's time to break
They were
camp.
set and ready to
You have
go.
to,
They
you
were
have to,
already
we have to
taped up,
abandon a
ready to
camp
go.
in the army
Yeah.
because you're being overrun by the enemy.
It
You
was-
want to bug out.
Well, you know that the pastor from that church spoke to the council.
Yes, he
He
did.
finally
And
did do
it
that.
was eloquent.
Yes.
It was so beautiful.
He is familiar with cold weather. He's from Chicago. He understood immediately what we were concerned for about the people that were out in the street. And he was concerned that the city wasn't doing enough. I mean, he wasn't going to state those things. He's new to this area. He doesn't know what we've
I hope
been
you do an
enduring
interview
for
with
the
Pastor
last
Ron.
year. And so he was grateful to be of some support.
Well, how much do you think Homes Now volunteers donated that actually put people up in hotels and
It
motels?
would have been cheaper to have everybody housed.
Oh, I think that the entire outreach, and I think this is including what we did with the shelter. I think it was somewhere in around 20 grand.
Well, at one council meeting, I found out that the city thought the county was leading, and they were following the county on everything.
Yeah, I know.
And the county
I
thought the
expect that.
city
I
was
can tell you where that
leading.
started. Okay, so we brought to the attention that there's no alert system, and that usually it's the county that alerts the cities that there's an extreme weather situation. And they were aware of that because they said it was the public health department of the county that was supposed to alert the cities of what to do next. Well, the cities don't have a plan in place for addressing the cold weather. They've never promoted that in any capacity that I'm aware of, and I've lived here for 20 years. We do know we have a crisis, a housing crisis, an economic crisis in our town, in our nation, where people are unhoused. So it's specifically important during the winter up here because of such extreme weather. If you get wet and you're out in these kind of cold chills, you get pneumonia. You can't live out here in this kind of weather and survive it without getting sick or losing your limbs or losing your life. We have a history of losing lives every year in which our city comes forward and does a memorial service for the lives lost that were living on the street. So rather than us keep amplifying this memorial service yearly, I would like us to honor these dead by maybe not having any more loss of life. And ensuring that we have something like a warming center in place so that people can survive it.
That's a huge point.
So-
Well, listen, I wanted to wrap this up by saying thank you to the two of you who, both of you helped
Thank
me
you.
not be homeless. And that's one reason I've volunteered and just keep volunteering is because I can, because I'm alive, because you guys stepped in and helped me find a place to live.
Well, and I don't know if anyone has said anything openly
And
about your situation. And you are a long-term resident, almost 40 years of Bellingham.
41.
41 years, and 20 years in your location where you never thought you'd have to move out of.
No, it was 12 years.
12 years, okay, 12 years in that location. And then all of a sudden, they tell you your rent's going up. And
$375.
and you're at a flat income, so you have a flat rate income and you can't go or exceed beyond that without having to go take up work and you're retired. And so here it is that someone who's a long-term resident is being priced out of her home as a senior citizen, and then everything else around her is twice as high in rent and not available. So we're looking at
Nothing was available.
our long-term elderly population that we love,
And
who
so
have
many
been
people,
protecting the city
so many people
and
have
town.
similar stories that
and
slide
cannot
downhill
find housing.
because you wrecked that car when you had your getaway pod.
Right.
You know, or something happens,
then
and you get everything taken
That's
from you.
when you bought
Boom.
your van. That's when you bought your van. That's when you said, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to be living out of a vehicle." Come on, guys.
Come on, all of
This
these
is
very
this is-
strong
this is a
volunteers. Every one of
video.
these. Come on over here, Helen. Come on.
So I want you
is
guys
us, and here
to
we
all
are.
Here we know how grateful this community is, and how we're all going to stick together. Everybody, all the different communities.